The Fox and the Centipede. A centipede was walking. Centipede is a creature with 100 legs. That's why it's called a centipede. It's a miracle to walk with 100 feet, because even to manage 2 is so difficult. To manage 100 legs is really impossible, almost impossible, but the centipede has been managing it. A fox saw him and became curious. Fox is a symbol of the mind, the intellect, of logic. Foxes are great logicians. The fox looked, she observed, she analyzed. She couldn't believe it. She said, "Wait, one question. How do you manage? How do you know which foot has to follow which? 100 legs? How does this harmony happen, that you walk so smoothly?" And the centipede said, "I have been walking, but I never thought about this. Give me a little time." So the centipede closed his eyes, and for the first time he became divided, the mind as observer and himself as the observed. For the first time the centipede became two. He had been living and walking, but his life had been one whole. There was no observer standing looking at himself. And he was never divided. He had been an integrated being. For the first time, division arose. He was looking at his own self, thinking he had become subject and object. He had become two. And then he started walking. It was difficult, almost impossible. He fell down. How do you manage 100 legs? The fox laughed and said, "I knew it must be difficult. I knew beforehand." The centipede started crying and weeping. Tears came to his eyes. He said, "It has never been difficult, but you have created the problem. Now I will never be able to walk again." The mind has come into being. Mind comes when we are divided. The mind feeds on this division. When the observer has become the observed, that is when we are in meditation. And the opposite happened to the centipede. Wholeness was lost. He became two. The observer and the observed, divided. The subject and the object. The thinker and the thought. Then everything was disturbed. Then bliss was lost and the flow stopped. And he became frozen. Poor centipede. He had always been happy. There had been no problem at all. He had lived, he had moved, he had loved, everything. No problems at all, because there was no mind. Mind came in with the problem, with the question, with the inquiry. And there are many foxes around you. Beware of them. Philosophers, theologians, logicians, professors, all around, foxes. They ask you questions and they create a disturbance. Chuang Tzu's master, Lao Tzu, said, "When there was not a single philosopher, everything was solved. There were no questions and all answers were available. When philosophers arose, questions came and answers disappeared. Whenever there is a question, the answer is very far away. When you ask, you will never get the answer. But when you stop asking, the answer is always there." So what happened to the centipede, you might ask? If he was as foolish as human beings, he would be somewhere in a hospital, crippled, paralyzed, forever. But I don't think that centipedes are so foolish. He must have thrown the question out. He must have told the fox, "Keep your questions to yourself. Let me walk." He must have come to know that division wouldn't allow him to live, because division creates death. Undivided, you are life. Divided, you become dead. The more divided you are, the more dead you are. So what is bliss? Bliss is the feeling that comes to us when the observer has become the observed. Bliss is the feeling that comes when we are in harmony, not fragmented, one, not disintegrated, not divided, undivided, one. Baal Shem used to say, his disciples used to write down whatsoever he said, and he used to say to them, I know that whatsoever you are writing is not what has been said by me. You have heard something. I have said something else. And you are writing still something else. And if you look at the meaning is something else again. You will never do what you have written. You will do something else. Fragments, not an integrated being. So bliss can happen only to the whole, never to the part. When the whole moves without any impediment, the very movement is bliss. Bliss is not something that comes from the outside. It is the feeling that comes when our whole being moves. The very movement of the whole is bliss. It's not something happening to you. It arises out of you. It is a harmony of your being. If you are divided, you are always divided, half moving, half withholding, half saying yes, half saying no, half in love, half in hate. You are a divided kingdom, and there is constant conflict in you. You say something, but you never mean it, because the opposite is right there, hiding within you, creating a disturbance. So if you really want not to be angry again, then don't decide against anger. Just look into the anger. And just look into the shadow of the anger, which you think is non-anger. Look into overeating, and the shadow of it, fasting, which always follows overeating. If you understand this, meditation will happen to you. It is not really something to be done. It is a point of understanding. It is not an effort. It is something to be deeply touched. Touching in this way gives freedom. The understanding of the whole mechanism of mind is transformation. Then suddenly the clock stops. Time disappears. With the stopping of the clock, there is no mind. With the stopping of time, where are you? The boat is empty. The centipede can walk again.